I'm Amy Walter.
And I'm John Mercurio. Welcome to Hotline TV.
So John, how are those Virgin Islands?
well, they're not virgin anymore.
Boy, well, John,
sorry
speaking
about
of
that.
virgins, how about those Republicans in Congress? Yeah. Oh, Republicans are retiring in droves. The latest being former NRCC Chairman Tom Reynolds. He joins.
Ready?
Sing it to me. Terry Everett, Rick Renzi, John Doolittle, Duncan Otter, Tom Tancredo, Dave Weldon, Jerry Weller, Ray Lewis, Ron Lewis, Jim McCreary, Jim Remstead, and Kenny Holshoff. We're not done yet. John, keep going.
Did you come up with those off
I
the
did.
top of your head?
Top of my
All right,
head.
let me see if I can remember this. Chip Pickering, Jim Saxton, Mike Ferguson,
Yep.
Heather Wilson, Steve Pierce, James Walsh, call him Jim, David Hobson, Deborah Price, Ralph Regular, John Peterson, Tom Davis, Barbara Cuban, and finally, Tom Reynolds. It's quite a list. That's 25 members of Congress. It doesn't include the other 4 who have resigned in the middle of this term. They said, we're out of here.
15%. 15% of the entire Congress. All right, so is this the end of the
world?
permanent Republican majority? Is this just maybe a little downturn, there's a little self-esteem troubles, or does this mean that the world, as Republicans once knew it, no longer there, and it's a whole new team that's going to have to come in and take over?
A lot, almost the entire leadership team that we saw 4 years ago entirely gone at this point. You know, Tom DeLay, obviously Hastert gone, and now Tom Reynolds going. I think, look, there are a couple of things going on. I think that some of them are running for higher office. You have Heather Wilson, for example, running in New Mexico for the Senate. And I think that Republicans look at post-Congress opportunities differently than Democrats do. I think you see a lot of these Republicans who are probably going to end up staying in Washington, staying on K Street,
right,
making $1 million in the same way that a lot of Democrats do. But I think you see a larger percentage of people who leave the House or the Senate from the Republican
conference. But this is the worst of all the times to go.
To
this is going to be bad because the odds are right now ain't going to be, it's not odds. There will not be a Republican majority in the House or Senate next year. So going and lobbying the minority, not much fun. Number 2, likelihood of a Democrat in the White House, pretty good. So in all Democratic-controlled Washington, you're out on K Street with the little tin cup. Not a good year for that. Why not stay for a couple years and wait until things get better? It says to me that there is no confidence at all that they're going to get that done.
Amy, typical Washington insider. Don't you realize that there is life outside of politics, and there's a lot of money to be made outside of
because are they moving back home to their districts?
Well,
or
presumably that's what they do. They represent themselves in Washington and then come back. No, I think that they view the possibility of them taking over as you just said, very unlikely in 2008, and that you're right. I think they would rather sort of go on and do other things as opposed to try to fight and lose re-election. You'd rather sort of retire with honor and nobility.
Here's the one good piece of news, though.
Yes.
If you are a young, up-and-coming Republican, you got your eye on leadership. Talking about you, Adam Putnam, maybe Paul Ryan, Wisconsin, shout out right there.
Big friends of the show.
Here's a chance for them. They didn't, in the old days, these young whippersnappers, it would take forever for them to move into positions of power, right? Because they'd have to elbow out the old bulls. They don't have to do that anymore.
Exactly.
I mean, in 2009, 2010, where are they? And more importantly, where's Roy Blunt? Where's John Boehner? Can those guys stay in leadership knowing that under their watch, not only have they, they've lost a bigger chunk of the majority, and none of them seem to be able to convince anyone to stay.
Right. Interesting points.
Yeah. Well, we have so many more points, but that'll do it today for Hotline TV. I'm Amy Walter.
And I'm John Mercurio. You stay classy, Christian Stead.
Yeah. How many classy people did you leave behind in Christian Stead?
So many Christian Steaders.